Hey, if you love running it back, you can do the channel a big favor by subscribing to it. It's the tab right under this video. Not to mention you can see all my videos on there. That's sports, interviews, special features, and my stand-up comedy too. Speaking of stand-up comedy, you can see me live here in Los Angeles. 2 upcoming dates this week, September 9th, 7 p.m. I'm on Stand Up and Sing, a comedy and karaoke show at the Good Night. And then next Friday, September 16th, 7:30 p.m., Flappers Comedy Club. That's where I end up doing most of my sets these days, so I feel really comfortable there. I work out new stuff. I hone old as well, so contact me for all the details. Let me know you're coming. On to today's show. I'm solo again like a real radio sports show host. Just me, my reactions, my thoughts, and predictions right here in the studio. So it's a lot of me. The Hard Knocks season finale was tonight. The season is upon us, and it's a really great time to be a fan. How do you feel about your team? Everybody feels good about their team. Hard Knocks, to me, really kicks off the anticipation. Do you watch every episode Tuesday night? Do you binge it? I talk to a lot of people who forget it's going on and they go right to it and they get it all in one sitting. Really overload the football and then you're ready to go. You're shot out of a cannon. NFL. It really means fall, doesn't it? Well, why are we delaying? Let's get to Hard Knocks, the season finale with the Detroit Lions right here on the Running Back Network. Let's go. All right, I am here. Let's do this. The season finale of Hard Knocks. Episode 5 is officially in the books. That means the season is officially upon us as well. I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of reactions. It is 8:09 West Coast time, recording this right from the studio. Solo edition as well, which is good because I had so many notes from this rather unusual episode. I thought. I'm not sure if you had the same reactions to it as I did. So let's get into it. We're going to talk big picture. We're going to talk the season that's coming up. We're going to talk a little bit of going back in the past, a little bit of Hard Knocks in season, which they are going to do on the Arizona Cardinals this year. Last year, they did it on the Indianapolis Colts. Not to mention a little history, and we will wrap it all up with the categories as well. So let's get into it. Hard Knocks, Episode 5. We just wrapped it up. So let's talk Hard Knocks. Let's talk the episode in general. The Hard Knocks in general, when it wraps up, is kind of exciting because the season is starting this week. It starts on Thursday. Then we have the full slate of games on Sunday. So that's what the Hard Knocks season finale typically means, even though I thought this was not the greatest episode of the series, not the greatest episode, just period. A bit of a somber episode. It starts with the coaches needing to cut down the roster to 53 players. I almost thought it was a bit of a Friday Night Lights type of vibe with the slow music, the slow motion, the long, large shots of it. Made me want to watch Friday Night Lights and have Billy Bob Thornton give me a inspirational speech to beat Dallas Carter again. So this got me to thinking, with the episode largely being the players being called into the office and being told that they are cut by head coach Dan Campbell and the general manager, and they do it with 8 different players, and you sort of get the routine of it. They know they're cut by the time they walk into that office. So what would you rather? Would you rather cut a player from the 53-man roster, or would you rather break up with a girl of 1 year? I don't know. I think there can be goods and bads to both. Both seem pretty tough. It did seem by the 8th or 9th player that they were cutting, Dan Campbell and the GM pretty much got the script down, though. A lot of like, you tried really hard. You have what it takes in this league. You're going to be somebody. We want you on the practice squad. Hey, it's not you. It's us. A lot of that. A lot of good deflecting going on in there as well. Interesting note, Craig Reynolds, the running back that the Hard Knocks did a little bit of a piece on earlier in the series does make the team, which I am a little bit selfishly glad about because this was the player whose brother zoomed in via jail. He was in jail and he was talking to him, giving him inspirational quotes from jail. So this needs to be an ongoing feature in it. We need to know what this guy tells him on a daily basis. How does he encourage him? How does he tell him how to live his life? I want to know lessons from jail. I don't know about you. I couldn't get enough of that. Keeping on going down the list of cuts, Khalil Pimpleton got cut from the Detroit 53-man roster. And I got to say, that might have been the nicest cutting I have ever seen. I've never seen anybody get fired and smile, essentially. He was happy. He said training camp was fun. He was optimistic. He was packing up his bags in a hotel room, and he was ready to go. That was either a lesson in a great attitude or a lesson in not really knowing that you just lost the opportunity to get a job. We see later in the episode that he does get another opportunity with another team as well. So a large portion of this show was devoted to player cuts, which I don't know if HBO was out of ideas, out of features, out of angles they could have tried. I feel like we ran out of steam with episode 4. Episode 4 was the best episode of the series. And I know that they can't end it there, but essentially it was done by that episode. We just had to get through player cuts, and that was it. The preseason games were over. We did the golf. We got 2 seconds of golf. We saw the player who was lucky to be there. We saw the foreigner player. We met the coaches. I felt like this was maybe one episode too long. However, we did get an Eminem sighting. So there was something to this episode. Keeping on down the list, I have a lot of categories, but before I get to the categories, I do want to say I did enjoy Malcolm Rodriguez not only making the team, but going full cowboy, which I had thoughts on as we get to the categories itself. Okay, the Eminem portion of it. This had to happen. I said earlier in the YouTube series that how great would it be if Eminem took the team out of the tunnel week 1. Now, we get to hear Eminem talk and sort of converse. Doesn't sound like the most motivational rah-rah guy, but he's a Detroit guy, so I'm not ruling it out. And he mentioned that he wanted to suit up. So I have some thoughts on that coming up later in the categories too. He saved this episode. This episode was a bit of a snoozer, but him just taking a tour of the facility, talking with players. Players seemed more enamored with him than he was with any of them. Although I think that's his MO, so I think we can give him a pass on that. I did mention that he'd said he could have done that except that he had skinny jeans on. So Eminem had to happen. I'm still holding out hope that he does come out week 1. I just wanted him to take the team out of the tunnel, but maybe he could suit up. Maybe he could be like a possession receiver, maybe slot position. Let's not rule it out. Okay, this I thought was important, although it was a short aspect of the episode. This is kind of cool when you learn about professional sports. We all know the games. We all know the personalities, and we know there's more to it than what we see on TV. But this was brought up, and I thought they could have hammered this home a little bit more, but I thought the point was made. We see the transient nature of a professional athlete. We had David Blau gets cut from Detroit Lions. The very next day, he's on the Minnesota Vikings practice squad. And it's kind of funny because he just walks out the door. He's got the helmet, he's got the jersey, and he's instantly taking snaps on the practice field, throwing the ball. Same thing with Pimpleton. He goes to the New York Giants organization. I don't know how long that workout was, but I don't think it could have been more than 40 minutes. And then he's a New York Giant. And this is before the season. This happens during the season all the time as well. So if you are not, the top 1% of the league, you move around quite a bit. You could be moving around city to city twice a year, possibly 3 times a year. And just the nature of being the professional athlete is you move around, you go where you are needed, where you are hired. Last thing, it's not a category, but I did have this unanswered question, and it makes me feel a little uneasy going into the Lions season. The end of the episode, they're asking players and coaches the 2022 Detroit Lions will blank, and then they have them finish the sentence, and they'll say like, I think Deuce Staley said, 2022 Detroit Lions will compete, will be in every game, will shock the league. They get to Dan Campbell, and this was a good piece of documentary filmmaking, I thought. They asked, the 2022 Detroit Lions will, and Dan Campbell, I think, pauses for about 30 seconds of complete silence. I don't know if you thought like I did that he was going to start crying, because he's already cried once in this series. But he paused for a long, long time. And I was asking, what is he thinking? What is he thinking in that head? Is he thinking of an answer? Is he thinking of the deficiencies that they had this training camp? Is he trying to like stop from saying something overly positive? Because a lot of coaches were super hyped by the end of this training camp. I will never know the answer to it. But I want to know what Dan Campbell was thinking in his head. And his answer ended up being, the 2022 Detroit Lions will, and he says, the team that will, the team that can and will. I don't know if that makes a Hallmark card, but I thought that was a little vague, and I thought whatever he was thinking in his head, I would have loved to have heard. So, interesting series, somber episode overall. Some fun stuff, but I'm ready for the season. Luckily, we have a season to start out, and we have that to look forward to. So big, big stuff coming. Overall, enjoyable that we see Detroit. We got to meet the coaches, which I think the coaches shine the most overall. And we got to meet a few new players. Number 1 draft pick is on this team. So now we get essentially a head start in meeting the guy. So positives of it as well. Detroit, I was sketchy. I was iffy on this team when it came out that this was the team for Hard Knocks. And I gotta say, I haven't learned anything new. I'm still sketchy on this. I'm still sketchy. I had fun learning some players, but I'm still curious to see how this team does. I don't feel like I fully know this team. Not that I know any of the teams right now previous to week 1, but I don't feel like I know the Detroit Lions quite yet. I guess that's what the whole season is for. So, like I said, I went back a little bit. The season is upon us. I always like to do a little bit of research, a little bit of history. I've been going back. I've been watching Hard Knocks in season from, I know it's a year ago. We know what happens. We know the Colts had a tremendous collapse at the end of the season. So I've been going back. I rewatched it. I watched the season finale where they lose to the Jaguars and effectively kill their entire playoff chances. And again, it's one of the saddest endings to it. But what I found interesting is how a season ends for a professional football team. They had like a final meeting. They had essentially an exit interview, and then they're all down. But essentially they start to buck up and they feel positive for the next season. It is kind of funny to watch the coach's final words at the end of a season, knowing that the season is starting this week. So all the quotes, all the like, we're going to be better next season, we're going to learn from our mistakes, you are going to find out within 48 hours at this point. So, I usually watch HBO mainly for Hard Knocks, but maybe I'll stick around this year because Hard Knocks in season is the Arizona Cardinals this year. And they've been doing a lot of promos for it. No words, no music, just showing a player walking onto the field. So maybe I will. And the Cardinals are a make or break season. We don't know what's going on with Kyler Murray. We don't know if he can make it through a season. We don't know about the coach. This could be weird. I might stick around and watch it because I did find the Colts in season enjoyable. The stakes were much higher than a preseason edition like with the Lions or last year's Cowboys. So I thought the in-season had something to offer. Just the highs and lows of winning and losing in the NFL. That's Hard Knocks in season. I believe the Arizona series starts in October this year. So I'm really curious to check that out. I'll also be curious to see what the Cardinals' record is by October. Okay, let's look forward to the NFL season. It starts on Thursday, and then we have a full slate of games on Sunday. So I wrote down my most intriguing games of the week. There's so many games. You look at the roster. I want to focus on some of the most interesting ones. Here we go. Thursday night, it starts out with Buffalo at Rams. Great matchup. The season effectively ended with the Super Bowl at SoFi last year, and now it begins at SoFi. So Buffalo, big run last year. It ended last year with an OT loss to Kansas City in the conference round. The Rams, of course, won the Super Bowl. So talk about an opening matchup. Talk about the undercard might possibly be the biggest game of the week. And that's going to kick us off. Thursday night, we're ravenous for football. Let's do a great matchup, great lineup to see who's got what on a Thursday night. On to Sunday. Interesting matchups. I have Cleveland at Carolina. Baker Mayfield goes up against the team that traded him. That's right, they got him out of Cleveland. He is no longer doing progressive commercials where effectively he lives at the stadium, although we don't know that for sure. And then I was thinking about first games of seasons where the player played for the previous team the season before. One came to mind. Do you remember when Drew Bledsoe was traded from the New England Patriots? He went to Buffalo, and the next year the Patriots played at Buffalo, and the Bills killed them. And we thought this might be something. It wasn't, of course, but I love a player playing his former team, especially week one, because it's a surprise when he comes out in the new uniform, and we see just how much it stings. So Cleveland, Carolina, Baker Mayfield in Carolina colors now. Other interesting game, Green Bay at Minnesota, divisional game right off the bat for these teams. MVP Aaron Rodgers, Kurt, I'm not sure if he's good, Cousins as well. So I thought this was interesting. No real thoughts other than this is a divisional game. The reigning MVP versus Kurt. We have no idea what this guy can do, Cousins. Las Vegas Raiders at Los Angeles Chargers. It's still hard to say that name, Los Angeles Chargers. Everyone's darling, Justin Herbert. Will the balloon pop, or is this guy really good? I don't think there's anybody who doesn't get jazzed up when the guy just brings his arm back and rips the ball down the field. Vegas comes to LA. That's right. The Raiders are coming to LA. So we're going to get to see if the Raiders still own 85% of Los Angeles or 89% of Los Angeles. It's tight. We're going to have to watch and see. Interesting game. Sunday night, Tampa Bay at Dallas. And I'm not sure if this is a great game, but Sunday in Dallas is a great way to end the Sunday night. I'm convinced. We can see if Dak can trick us again for the fourth year in a row into thinking he's good. We can see Tom Brady, who takes 10 days off in the middle of offseason. We don't know. But, hey, Sunday night, this is perfect. We are going to have a lot of drama Sunday night, and then we can be all jazzed up from all the games we watched that Sunday. And then lastly, Monday night is a good one as well. Denver at Seattle. We got another one where Russell Wilson, previously Seattle, now Denver, suits up, goes against his former team. You know what would be great for this game? We do so much with the uniforms. We do so much throwbacks. We do the color rush. They do the white on white. They do the different colors for occasions. This would be a great game for both teams to wear their period-specific uniforms. And I'm thinking like late 80s, early 90s. Imagine if we had the Denver Broncos and their Orange Crush blue helmet uniforms versus the blue and seafoam green with the silver helmet of Seattle. Total throwback, something our dads watched. I never see that Seattle throwback uniform come back. It's not too late, NFL. You can do it. Lord knows you can wield any power you want, so let's do the uniforms thing. Maybe I jinxed it. Maybe it's a surprise. Maybe it's going to happen. All right, those are my watchable games. Those are my most intriguing games for the weekend. I cannot wait to see how the season starts. Surprises, disappointments. Who's going to be 1-0? Who's going to be 0-1? Who's going to want to fire their coach after one game? That should be a pool. First coach to be fired this year. Who's it going to be? We'll think about that. All right, on to the categories of this episode. Episode 5, Hard Knocks. As you know, if you've been listening to the show, I have a round of categories, my instant reactions to the episode. Like I said, not my favorite episode. Somber, very sad. They should have just stuck with the Friday Night Lights theme the whole episode, possibly. But first category of the episode, most memorable part, has to be when Eminem took a tour of the Detroit Lions facility. Also, interesting clothing choice he had. He had some sort of blue jacket on. He had a hat. He had sunglasses. And I came to my realization that Eminem still got attitude. A lot of attitude. Like he's there cheering on the players, but he was kind of wanting to mix it up too. Like I said, players looked more interested in him than he was of them. I kind of find it funny when he walked by the ice bathtub and all he says is "fuck that." he wants nothing to do with the ice bath. He walked through the weight room. He walked through the cafeteria. Eminem, I think we needed more Eminem. If we could have Eminem driving up, we could have had him doing maybe a player motivational speech in that conference room. That I would have killed to see. It seemed like he half wanted to be there, half didn't. But that being said, Eminem needs to be involved with this team on a regular basis this season. Let's keep going on to favorite quote. I have 3 of them for this episode. First one, if one of these guys hits me, I might fucking die. That was from Eminem about halfway through. Done crapping your pants or what? That was Dan Campbell. I think Dan Campbell has about 3 or 4 quotes that insinuate someone shitting themselves this season. Which, by the way, if you want to be a good coach, you have to ask people if they're going to shit themselves. And then finally, where's Jared Goff? Oh, wait, but that was me. That's been my quote all season long. Where is the guy? We got a 3-minute segment of him last episode, and that was it. So, best quote, it's got to be the Eminem one. If one of these guys hits me, I might fucking die. A little bit of perspective as well. He was talking about how, Goff does it about okay. I could do better. I do better. He's almost as good as me. And then he came to the realization that these are monsters on the field and they might crush him. I don't know what Eminem's stats are, but I don't think the guy's 5'9" and over 160 pounds. So he is right. He might fucking die. Continuing on. Who, from this episode, should have their own show? Tough one for this one because we didn't meet anybody new. They didn't focus on anybody. Nobody did anything outrageous. So I'm back to a pick I made in an early episode where Deuce Staley and Aaron Glenn have their own show. But my idea for this episode is they go full Remember the Titans. One coaches the offense, one coaches the defense, and they're both head coaches. And they can have these fun little interactions where they're pacing the sidelines, getting mad at each other for defenses, and talking trash to each other. Might as well just redo the movie Remember the Titans. I'm a big fan of just redoing certain movies every 10 years. New actors, new directors. Just give me your version, give me your spin on an old classic. We do it with Christmas movies. Let's do it with Remember the Titans. Next category, what job would you want from this episode? Another tough one because we didn't see a lot. However, I did have two picks. Number 1 pick, when Khalil Pimpleton went to the Giants to do his workout, I wanted to be the guy who throws him routes. Because if you notice, there wasn't any players, any New York Giants or anything throwing the ball. It looked like a couple of coaches, maybe a strength coach, maybe a QB coach. I want to be the guy who throws him some routes, because that's a chance I would have to kind of let it loose a little bit too. I'm not going to throw the ball hard enough that he's ever not going to catch it. So I can look good too. I could throw him a couple out routes, a couple over the shoulders, and then of course, when he's done with the workout, then we can kind of dab it up and say how good we were throwing and catching there. Maybe even throwing a quick quip of hey, maybe I should be on this team. Ooh, maybe back to Eminem. Maybe I should get on this field. Suit me up. Other job I might want. Now this one's a little bit of a mystery. Halfway through the episode, a girl walks up to Dan Campbell, a staff member of the Lions walks up to Dan Campbell, and her title was co-director of player engagement. I have no idea what that is. I have no idea what the job title is. That being said, I wanted that job. I would love to be co-director of player engagement. First of all, you're co-director, so you probably got a partner. You can team up and you do things like, I don't know, is this someone who organizes Secret Santa things come December in the league? Is this person in charge of remembering players' birthdays, getting them a cake? That sounds like a fun job. And you're on the field, you got the team gear, everybody likes you. Director of player engagement, sign me up. Throwing balls to Khalil Pimpleton or co-director, I couldn't have a single pick, so I'm giving them that's a tie. Tie for me. All right, next category, my favorite. Unintended comedy of the episode. I have 2 nominees. Number 1, Eminem's beard. Did Eminem dye his beard? It looked a little too brown. There is such a thing as too much color. And also he wore a hat the whole time. So I needed to see what color his hair was as well. If he took off that hat and it was a full head of gray hair and he had a brown beard, then I got more questions. Eminem. I almost kept his sunglasses on the whole time. Other unintended comedy, Malcolm Rodriguez goes full cowboy in the Western store. It is always weird when you find someone's secret side is they're a cowboy. He bought boots. He bought a hat. He bought the Western shirt. He got the jeans. Now, that was pretty funny watching him check out the ostrich skin boots and the gator skin boots. Here was the funny part to me. I don't know if you noticed, the salesman, not the young guy, the old guy at the Western store who was a salesman, was wearing sandals. Well, I don't know what that's about. Why are you working at a Western store that sells cowboy boots and you're wearing open-toe sandals? I don't know if I would take any advice from that salesman. You sell boots here, and now I can see your big toe. I needed another 5 minutes of Malcolm Rodriguez in the Western store. And also, that was a missed opportunity, HBO, for the dressing room montage. Play a couple, maybe some Hall & Oates, maybe a little Strike a Pose, or maybe Vogue, and have them come out in a couple different outfits. That's what this episode needed. It needed some lightheartedness because it was so sad and somber with players being cut, told that they were going to be picked up somewhere. Missed opportunity, HBO. Have Malcolm Rodriguez do a little bit of fashion show. That'd be fun for everybody. Next category, cast the athlete. Now, there hasn't been too many athletes we've casted because it just hasn't focused on a lot of people. So I got one new one and one twist on an old one. Athlete number 1, defensive back, Chase Lucas, we met in this episode. A bit of a bragger, a bit of a wild card, a little bit of a hothead, made some plays, dropped a critical, what would be interception in a preseason game, and then right to the coaches. I like this one where he's like, coach, he's essentially following around that one coach. I figured like the one coach was trying to get away from him. And he kept kind of walking up to that coach, I'm going to be great. I'm going to be great. And the coach would give him little patronizing quotes back like, well, you'll have an opportunity to. You'll have a chance. Maybe soon. And like, coach, I will. Just like a little kid kind of following around the older brother. So I would like to cast Chase Lucas in the role of Chase Lucas, comedian Eric Andre. I don't know, if you bring up his picture, you might see the resemblance. And this show, essentially, because I got the idea with Chase Lucas, was a bit of a sophomoric, funny, a little bit of a pestering. This is Eric Andre's lane. It could be sort of a jackass, a reality type of show where he kind of fucks with the coaches, the staff, maybe the fans even. I think that could work. And then my second casting, we've casted Coach Dan Campbell all season long. We've had some good ones. But in a dramatic turn, I would like to cast in the role as Dan Campbell, Christian Bale. Now, we've seen Christian Bale get super skinny, but now we got to see him bulk up. I can see him growing the goatee. I can see him getting really into the role and really taking in American football, because I don't think Christian Bale is American. So I can see him going very, very Daniel Day-Lewis-like and becoming a football coach. Maybe he does the thing where he starts hanging out with football teams, like maybe a college or a high school, to get the lingo down, but they don't know it's him. They think he's just a regular coach. and he gets all the coachisms down. So in a dramatic turn, Christian Bale plays the role of Dan Campbell. Just think of that scene where Dan Campbell is asked, the 2022 Lions will blank. Just imagine the dramatic turn that we may get if Christian Bale is Dan Campbell. How early can you give out Oscars? Next category. This category is called Massive Predictions. You know, I don't like to take my predictions lightly, so a couple of my predictions from previous episodes, so I can be held accountable, was number one, I predicted that the Lions would go 3-0. So let's look at their three matchups for the first 3 weeks of the season. They play Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia, another guy that we just have a huge question mark. Has this been the most quarterbacks with question marks by their names in the NFL ever? I get the feeling there are not that many good question marks. Jalen Hurts, Tua, Kirk Cousins, Dak right after that. We have so many questions. There are half the NFL teams are going to finish their season with a different quarterback than they have now. Anyway, we're not predicting that. I predicted that the Lions would go 3-0. Their first game is Philadelphia, Washington, and then at Minnesota. These are all winnable games, or these are at least evenly matched games. So maybe my 3-0 prediction was not that far off. In case you're wondering, their fourth game is Seattle as well. So they're playing out of their first 4 games, 3 are at home, and they're going to Minnesota for their away game. I don't think that's too crazy. I think 3-0 is very possible. And then maybe we have that Detroit Lions groundswell. Maybe we have some Eminem suiting up, taking them out of tunnels. Another prediction I had earlier in the series, that the Detroit Lions would finish second in the division. Now keep in mind, here's who's in their division. Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago. By all intents and purposes, Green Bay wins the division, okay? Chicago looks like they're in the basement of this division. So now it's between Minnesota and Detroit. And in my 3-0 prediction, they beat Minnesota. So I don't think this is an entirely crazy prediction either. So I may be onto something with my predictions. I'm going to see about that. You know, I hold myself accountable. But for this week, massive predictions. I have to make a massive predictions this week. So here's my massive prediction. Now that the Hard Knocks season is over, I predict the Detroit Lions become the next year team. So not this year. Maybe they get a wild card berth. Maybe they somehow don't get the playoffs and have a winning record, and they become the just wait till next year team. Maybe they have a halfway decent season. They clean house, or they make little tweaks to the roster. Maybe they trade around for a draft. Maybe they finally send Goff out on the Mayflower 18-wheeler truck for, nice furniture, and they get someone new. So they become the next year team. Okay, that was my massive prediction. Last category of the list here. Who won the episode? Tough one again, because we didn't meet anybody new. Also, we didn't really get to meet the city so much. Remember last year, the Dallas facility, Dallas in general, was a huge part of the Dallas Cowboys Hard Knocks. A lot of Jerry Jones. I don't believe we met any of the owners for the Detroit Lions organization either. We met the general manager, met a lot of coaches. I believe we met the VP. I didn't catch his name, but someone was in there talking player rosters and cuts and stuff like that. So, who won the episode here? I got to give it to the Detroit Lions coaching staff. Those people we did meet. Those people, I don't think anybody outside of Detroit knew who they were previous. Dan Campbell, we learned his journey. We learned that he was a former player. We know that he's very involved. I think you would call him a player's coach. And then we got to learn that this staff is full of former players. I said it before, we have former players. Where's the nerds? Where's the football nerds? Where's the Kyle Shanahans? Where's the Sean McVays that just sit up all night writing up plays on their whiteboard? This team is not that. This team is former players. So that I found interesting. So 2 nominees, the Detroit Lions coaching staff won this episode, / perhaps won the whole series. Detroit Lions coaching staff. And then my second nominee for who won the episode, Detroit. Detroit in general, the city of Detroit. If there's one thing to get pumped up for your team about, it's to have a documentary of your team before the season. They haven't lost any games yet. And also, Detroit last year went 3-13, so you can only go up, essentially. There's so much positive to go on here. So, City of Detroit, let's give it to them. Maybe Eminem. Should I go full Eminem that he won this episode? He was really the only exciting part in this whole episode. So, that wraps up the Hard Knocks season. Like I said, enjoyable. I wasn't really into football until Hard Knocks started. Now we get to see the players, we get to see the uniforms, we get to see actual football being played in stadiums. So I think I'm ready for the season. Like I said, I'm recording this Tuesday night right after the episode has ended. So Thursday night, we have our first NFL game. College has already happened, but let's be real. The season really starts with the NFL. Fall kicks off with the NFL. I don't know what side of the country you live in. I live on the West Coast. Games start at 10 a.m. You can roll out of bed, casually turn it on, and you've got a game going on at 10 a.m. You watch that. The next game is at 1. Then you get a little break, and then you have the Sunday night game at 6. If you were to pick the best time zone to watch NFL, I think it's either Mountain or Pacific time zone. First game on at 10, first game on at 11, late game on at 6 or 7. I never understood the East Coast, like Monday night, would come on like at 9 p.m. If you're a kid, you're probably not going to watch that game. You're probably in bed because you got school. So, perfectly set up for us West Coasters. Hey, I'm ready. Who's your team? As you know, I'm biased. I'm a Las Vegas Raiders guy. This is our, could you call it a make or break year? Could you call it a loser leaves town year? I'm all in. Everybody's all in. That's the beauty of this time of year. So, Thursday night, the season begins. That was Hard Knocks, Detroit Lions on HBO in season. Arizona Cardinals catch-up pod. That could happen. We're going to see. Will the Lions go 3-0? Is my prediction right? Will they suit up Eminem? All right. I don't want to get ahead of myself. That was the show. That was the series. That was Hard Knocks, Detroit Lions. Preseason. Dan Campbell. What was he thinking? We'll see you at the games. Okay, that is it. That is the episode. That is Hard Knocks this year for 2022. The Lions. That's right, the Lions. Now, tell me this. How did you feel about the Lions going into Hard Knocks? How do you feel about the Lions coming out of Hard Knocks? It's hard not to be positive. Like I said, I predicted them to go 3-0. I think that's pretty damn positive. I always love Hard Knocks. It gets us going. It is a welcome entry into the fall as well, if you think about it. I thought the episode had a lot to say. Got me jazzed for the season as well. Thursday night, the season begins. What better way? How's your team? How you feeling? Did you buy a jersey? All good questions. Don't forget, live stand-up comedy coming up for me this week, September 9th, 7 p.m. I am right here at The Good Night, the comedy and karaoke show. Not only am I doing comedy, I'm singing too, apparently. I've done it before. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Next Friday, September 16th, 7:30, Flappers Comedy Club is where I'm at. Hit me up for all details as well. Not to mention, do the show a tremendous favor by giving it a subscribe, the tab right under this video. We had some growth the last few weeks, so let's keep it going. Not to mention, you can see all my other videos on there, stand-up clips, interviews, sports, and other special features as well. So, for Patrick Ramirez on the Running It Back Network, for Hard Knocks, for Eminem, he might suit up. Let's hope so. I'll see you at the games.